Hello there, welcome to the Glow Up Method, where we talk everything about life, parenting, relationships, personal growth, self-improvement journeys, weight loss journeys, and everything in between. My name is Natasha, and I am your host today, and I'm so excited to be here today. So I have a confession to make. Life has been really challenging, as you have heard these last few episodes, and I was out of town, and of course when I'm out of town I don't record, and I came back to a storm. Like I came home to utter chaos. Like, I had no idea when I hopped on that ship what would transpire over the next few weeks after I got off the ship, while I was on the ship, and all the way up until now. And so I have a confession to make. I have not been filming every day. I have barely been getting my steps in. Some days I haven't even looked at my watch. And I'll get into all that, which I somewhat am into. I've already somewhat disclosed, but I'm also relying on the fact that I'm like, hey, this is a great way to catch up. But I also understand that this is a pretty intense time. And while for me, I need to listen to my body. First off, there's just immense pressure and stress on me. And again, I really do believe that it manifests in multiple ways. Like all of this tension and all of this change needs some place to go. And so I do believe part of that is why my sciatica is so inflamed. I think that, your hips really hold a lot of stuff. So I know I've mentioned that in there. So there's been a physical reason, but there's also been a huge mental and emotional reason. And I say this to say, because I talk about how often I'm like push through and push forward and push through the pain. And like I said, I'm in this new chapter, and this chapter is not about pushing through. It's about finding a way to get through it. And understanding that there's a lesson, there's an experience in this that I need to experience and that I need to learn from in order to get me to the next place. So yeah, it's pretty painful. I have moments where, like I'm on here and I'm bawling, crying. And I have minutes where I feel really empowered and strong, and I'm cleaning up all the old things. And so I don't have to look at it and think, this was something Chris was supposed to do, no more. Like that's gone. It's done as of right now. Like he's not here. There is no Chris. It's either I do it, I pay someone else to do it, I delegate it to my kids and hope they do it, or it's going to be that way. And so it's been a journey. And so I haven't been filming every day, but today's Monday, and you know how I feel about those Mondays. And I really miss my routines, my everything that grounded me. I kind of did. It was like, you only had so much time to process and everything. And I had a lot of anger. I was resentful. I was confused. I was defensive. I was just every emotion, plus sad and shocked. And, for years, yes, we have had troubles. And even for months, which ironically, I want to believe that in life, there are no coincidences. There are connections and there are reasons. As I was watching today's video to post for tomorrow, it was when Chris had initiated the email that was to me that I interpreted as him saying he wanted to dissolve the marriage. And so I was talking about that in there, and I was like, the irony of it all, right? That who knew? I didn't know then. And like I wanted to say the other day was, had I have really waited to publish until I got back from the cruise, which was my original kind of loose plan until I came up with this whole birthday kind of like thing 2 weeks before my birthday, I wouldn't have done it. I would have never, ever published this. Why? I just wouldn't have had the time. I wouldn't have had the energy. And quite honestly, at that point, I might have abandoned the whole project to begin with in order to pursue something else. But I'm so grateful that I had the epiphany to do it earlier. I'm so grateful that even in the midst of all the chaos, I'm still making the time to publish. Now, I'm not commenting like I would, and I'm not, being able to respond. I really have so much on my plate. I have 4 humans. I have my own, thing. I have to figure out finances and he's quickly, getting me off of, Comcast, all these things. So now I'm having to like, figure out how to do all these things and change it and all. It's a lot of stuff to do, plus being in a 12 out of 10 pain scale and going to doctors and taking my kids to doctors and just everything in between. And just personally processing, like, this is a huge 25 years. I'm not going to get over it in 25 minutes, even though the writing was on the wall. There are feelings and things that on paper I didn't see. It wasn't until I experienced it that I was able to embrace some things. I didn't anticipate them. So I was not prepared for experiencing these things. And so I say all that to say, like, I am really at a place where I feel so gifted. So much like I was saying, in a way, it's almost like my past self rewatching the videos in order to publish them, right? I rewatch them and, so I know what to do for the thumbnail, so that I know what to write in there. It's such a gift because it's like my past self is like guiding and healing my first one. Because right now my brain wants to be like, was it really that bad? Like, was I just expecting too much? Like, I'm seeking out the things. I'm feeling really sorry for him because, again, I'm here in our home. I'm here with our 4 kids. Like, besides a few items like his desk and his computers and certain things being gone, my life, sometimes if I just shut my door, is the same, right? Like, but better, because I don't have that story I've created and told myself, right? That it's going to be chaotic and peaceful, and I don't know who he's going to be when he comes in. And so I have all this angst and worry when I hear the garage, like, who is it? Is it him? Is he going to yell at me? Like, I have this whole story and, based on, my perspective, my, the situations at hand or whatever. And that's all I'm speaking about. Whether that happened every day, every month, every whatever it was, this is how I felt. And still, even now, like, working on the way, like, no, that garage is never going to be him again for at least the foreseeable future. And, there's come a place from where, initially the things he said to me were so cruel. Like, I didn't understand because, of course, even in this, I want to be friends. Like, it's not like I'm breaking up and I never have to see you again. Like, I mean, yes, that is a possibility, but we have 4 kids. Like, they are embarking on really big things. I mean, the probability of us never seeing one another again means somebody's going to miss out on something for them. And I don't want them to miss out because of us. So it just seems so silly to continue the animosity. And so, initially he was not on board. Initially, he was very mean, very cruel, very hateful to me. But over this process, there has been more nice times than upset times. Now, granted, there still is. Like, it's not like, oh, hunky-dory or whatever. And there has been some reflection, and there has been some, like, I get you. I hear you. I hear what you're saying now. I don't know why I didn't hear you before, but I could hear you now from where I am. And of course, that makes me sad because I, think, what could have been? Like, how easy life would have been, right? If we would have just been good together. Like, if we showed up to one another as the best versions of each other and brought out the best of each other. Like, how cool would have that been? But that just wasn't our experience. And it wasn't that we didn't try. We went to 2 different, marriage couple counselors. We went to counseling all the time. We did dates. We had homework assignments we did, and sometimes we didn't. We did try the best we could with the tools we had at the time. Even since then, we both have evolved and we have learned, and maybe in some weird way, if we would have tried again now, it would have been different. But now that he's, some of the things that have happened, I do think at the end of the day would be really, really challenging for me to overcome again. And so, all I can say is where I am today. Where I am today is like, so my daughter, sorry, I got a lung infection, of course, too, on the cruise ship. So it's just like lingers when it gets cold or I talk too much. It's like, so I apologize for that. But, so my daughter is struggling, right? So because she has her own unique dynamic with her father, and obviously this is, erupted pretty quickly, and she feels betrayed because, you know, she was really stepping up and helping him. She thought under the, you know, guise of what he had said was because he was working and doing these things, but that yet he chose some other woman to be spending time with. And I don't think it's because he betrayed me, but I think it's because he betrayed her by lying to her and trying to keep that from her. And then her having her own revelations where she's like, he says he has no money, but he has money to take this woman on a date. He says he has no time, but he has time to do things with her. You know, he never takes me out to a restaurant and things like that. And I think that that has been a really, really tough blow for her, because she always wanted to be daddy's little girl, right? She always wanted his attention. And throughout the entire lifetime of her, I always was like, Chris, take her to a movie, take her to get her nails done. He's like, oh, I don't want to get my nails done. I'm like, it's not about you. It's about doing something she likes and having that time together. And he thought I would make it up. And so he'd go to her like, oh, your mom says you want to go to a movie. Your mom says you want to spend time with me. And she didn't want to like act confrontational or anything. She was like, I didn't say that, you know? And then he would come to me and be like, see, she never said that. You're just making this stuff up. And I'm like, why would I sit here and make this up? And even if I was, what is the worst case if I'm making this up so that you guys spend more time together? Terrible human here. But that's not true. That didn't happen. I was trying to tell him things to do because she was in there crying and saying they don't do anything. He always has time for the boys. He misses my activities to watch the 49ers. And then it came up, he missed the 49ers game to go hang out with another woman. And of course that brought up some raw wounds for her, because she's like, he never would miss his 49er games to come watch our stuff. And so she had reflected back on some messages that he had sent and her back. They had both sent back and forth 2 years ago. And at first, I can, you know, when you're not in a situation, you kind of see it differently, right? So if somebody reads back my stuff, I'm a little more emotional and defensive about what I'm saying and my perspective. And, you know, of course, Chris is on his. But when you're not involved necessarily, or you don't have any, you know, if you're not looking at it with your own kind of preconceived notions and things like that, then you'll get it different. So in this moment, I was just freshly out of bed. And so I'm you know, I'm fresh. And so I'm reading it and I could see both sides. It was really clear to me. I could see both sides. But one of the things I could see most, and at first I was like, yeah, that was right. That was wrong. Ooh, that hurt, that this, and this, and this. And then I said, she said something in there about choice. And that theme of choice really struck out in these, over the course of these 29 text messages. And her last sentence said it so poetically. And I had to tell her, I was like, not only do I feel like your past self is speaking to you in these texts, but it has profoundly changed me. The last sentence was said the most poetically. And since reading that yesterday morning, I literally have wrote it on a Post-it note and I've hung it in my bedroom. I wrote it on a Post-it note and hung it in my car. And I continue whenever I feel this hinge of jealousy or hinge of how dare you, or hinge of wanting to be the victim in this situation, or hinge of wanting to be like that freaking a-hole or whatever, you know, like whatever it is, I just choose to say this. And this is what I told her. I think the most poetic part of it was your very last sentence. And I've manipulated the words a tad bit just because I didn't like the verbiage, but this is what she said, quote unquote. Choose peace. Don't choose chaos. Now, the way I've written it is choose peace over chaos. Semantics. But the way for me, I like that. I liked that better. And so that has been it. Choose peace over chaos. So if something comes in, you know, he sent me a message yesterday. And, you know, I said, you know, I'm giving him belongings. Do you need any hangers? You know, like small things like, why are you going to go buy it? I have got like bags full of hangers in the garage, right? Do you need something else? Do you need some towels? Take a few towels. Do you need some plates and forks? Take some plates and forks. We're not going to miss it. Do you need some pots and pans? I am not using all the pots and pans. We can at max use 4 at a time. Take stuff. There's no reason. You also worked for these things. Like, you know, you're welcome to them. So, you know, I asked him, do you want your fan that you would sleep with? And I said, if you want that one, or I even have some tall tower ones in the garage, you're welcome to those as well. And he wrote me back a message. And originally I was like, wow, that was like a little bit tough or whatever. It was pretty harsh of a message, and you know, it was like very like undermining things that I also did in there. And I was like, okay. And the minute I started to feel anything, I just repeated, choose peace over chaos. Choose peace over chaos. Like, I just saw the situation from his point of view, which again is a very different point of view, right? You're going into a different home. You have to drive a different direction. You are, you know, going into an apartment, and I have a sympathy. I am empathetic. Like, that's gotta be really hard. It's gotta be weird when you live in a house full of 5 other people and it's loud and chaotic all the time, to something really quiet and lonely, and it's not fully established, right? It's not like it's fully furnished and cozy and you're settled in. It's probably weird. There's new sounds and new smells. I mean, I'm just imagining, he hasn't said these things, but you know, I can sympathize with that experience, how challenging it also must be. So when he gets angry about something, you know, he's probably angry because that's what drove him to be there, and he doesn't necessarily want to be there, but maybe he does. I don't know. This is a lot of my own brain trying to fill these in. But at the end of the day, when I look at it, like, he's just another human, and he was having a tough time here, and he did what he thought was best, and he moved on, and he moved out. And, you know, I have to on some aspect respect that, right? Because what do I preach on here all the time? Like, do you take care of yourself? Like, if you're living a life that isn't aligned with you, make some changes, adapt, pivot. And so for me, that has been the guiding light right now. And I was like, I just, you know, have this desire, because anybody I talk to about the situation is like, get everything, go this, get a forensic attorney. And I just don't want to fight. I just want peace over chaos. What is the fighting going to do? I just want a divorce with dignity, if that's what we're going to do. I want a friendship that can last. Maybe that friendship will be better than any friendship we had during the relationship. I don't know. And that would be lovely. And of course, if you involve other people, it might get like weird. And that might be the point where we're both like, listen, I can't watch you be with somebody else, you know, like you know, I don't know. And so again, you know, my goal here is to divorce with dignity. It is to choose peace over chaos. And those things will help me be the best role model and support system for my kids and for you and for me to really align. Because when I do stuff, like I said, like I sent her an email and I was like, or Facebook Messenger, because yeah, that's, you know, I don't know what else to do, and let her know like who he really is, and, you know, like let her know that what he's done to me in the past, and, you know, what he's done to the, you know, like, I didn't feel good about that. Like, I immediately regretted it, but I had justified it because, again, it was like within such a short time, you hurt my kids, you said something really hurtful, you were hurting me, and I just responded with that right hand. It came back real quick. But I laid in my bed, and it's like, I even have to cringe when I say what I did, because I admit it. You know, again, like I'll say, well, I didn't lie, you know, but it didn't feel good. Even though I told the truth, I didn't feel good about it, and it didn't make the situation any better, and it didn't make me feel better as a person. And so, you know, again, like, my daughter may have her opinion, and she'll be like, just throw his stuff outside and do these things, and because she's young and she's hurt and she's angry. But I don't want to do that. Like, how does that make me feel better? I've done it before. When I was a 24-year-old, or was it 24, 25-year-old, whatever, young girl with 2 kids under the age of 2, and or 2 and under, and it didn't feel good. I didn't enjoy that. Like, I mean, it kind of did, actually. I'm not gonna fib. Like, when I'm throwing that stuff out, I felt very strong and powerful, but I don't have any desire, you know. So we gathered his belongings, we put them together nicely. You know, like I say, I continue to offer, do you need more blankets? Do you need more things? Because, you know what? At the end of the day, he will always be my kid's dad. And he will always be a part of my life, even if it looks very different. And I hope the way that he shows up and I show up for each other is not filled with all the expectations, where when I drive in the driveway and I'm like, look, here's Chris's failures already. Like, I asked him to trim this bush back in June, and here it is. I've sent him an email, I've sent him a text, I've sent him a this, and I took it really personal that he didn't want to trim the frickin' bush. And even in pain, over the last 2 weekends, I've annihilated the bushes. I have destroyed them. I have gotten rid of everything, and it looks bigger, and it looks fresher, and it feels like a clean slate. Like I said on here, it's been very cathartic to just get rid of the dead, because on top of it, it looked like it was okay, but then there were like this wide of just death and bugs and nesting and whatever there was in there. It was something that was not genuine, and it reflected our marriage. We're on the outside, we looked okay, but on the inside, it was like death, and it was a mess, and it was overgrown and cluttered. And so having this opportunity to like rebuild and to clean, I mean, so many areas, and I'm learning. I've done internet things. Okay, listen, I'm going to tell you, girls and guys, if you're listening, that's great too. Like, don't hate on me. I'm not this extreme feminist over here, but I'm just an empowering person, right? So, I hear about this thing now that they're calling girl math. Well, I want to let y'all know, since Chris has left, I have become girl math. I was telling the kids, girl mechanic. So, a couple things have happened. My passenger door handle has been off for, again, another 3-4 months. And I kept asking Chris, can you please fix it again? Can you please fix it again? And then, and he'd be like, oh, it's not going to break it. Whatever reasons he gave, he wouldn't fix it, didn't fix it, whatever. So we left, and I pulled those big girl pants on, and I went out there and I fixed my handle. And I went out to the car yesterday, and I have a second car. Went out to the second car that the kids are supposed to drive, which is still disabled at the moment. We're going to get there. It's on the thing. But the window was open, and I was like, what the heck? So I went into the car. Battery's dead. Can't move it. So can't open up the window. So I text Chris, ask him how to do it. He goes, oh, you have to do this and this and this. And I was like, I don't want to do it. And I can't like move the seats or unlock the door. So I have to crawl back there with my injury. But I did it. I fixed the freaking window. Now, is it perfect? No. I'm telling you, it's girl mechanicking over here. Like, it has some paper towels holding it up, which I didn't do until after the rain today. Didn't know it was going to rain, but it was super cleansing. Like, that rain today, I was in bed, and all of a sudden, early in the morning, I heard the cars, the sound of cars in the rain, and I was like, wow, like, this is just so poetic. Like, the cleansing, and it was like this really hard, floody kind of rain for a couple of hours, and then suddenly, like, I could watch I laid there just watching, because I was choosing peace over chaos. I was watching as the clouds were going, and I was like, okay, when the clouds have done, because I can see the blue skies behind, then it'll be time. And it just felt, I can't explain. It was just this magical experience, this cleansing of this relationship, this storm that we've been in, that was passing through, and then blue skies were on the horizon, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. So yes, the car got wet, but it wasn't so bad, because I guess the way the angle or whatever, it wasn't too bad, but I wiped it all off. I got the thing fixed. And then today my son was getting out of the car, and I was like really loud, grindy sounds, and I went inside the house and I grabbed out some cooking spray, and they're like, where are you going with the cooking spray? I'm like, I'll be right back. I went to the door, I sprayed some cooking spray, opened and shut it. No more squeaky loud noise, and the door opened smoothly again. So I am so proud of my girl mechanic skills out here, but I feel really empowered. It's a silly thing, right? But it would have been something that I would have just not did, and would have been like, I do so many other things. This is a Chris thing. Like, and he wouldn't do it, and I would have been annoyed, and it would have caused strife. And so now I know I can do these things. Do I always want to do things? No. I'm going to be 1,000%. I do not want to take out the trash. But it's a good thing that I live with 4 people, and 4.5 sometimes. And between my sons and my daughter and her boyfriend, the trash gets taken out. We have now a new system, you know, those chores that Chris helped with. We've now delegated out to the boys, and we have a new system. And it's funny because this getting out of our comfort zone has allowed me to see the world differently. I'm exponentially saving on car insurance now. I'm saving on garbage, like my bill is cut in half, on PG&E. Like, there's little things that, like, there was just all this excess, like, waste that was happening, or discomfort, like in not liking the way, you know, my yards looked overgrown and untaken care of. And now it has allowed this sense of peace within the household. Like, it has this less clutter, and the energy feels clean and good and cleansed. And so that's why, like, it was so poetic for that rain today. And again, I'm not going to say I'm perfect, right? My daughter showed me some pictures of his apartment, and I was like, it made me really sad, you know, because part of my mind is like, oh, it's this great apartment, you know, his now ex-girlfriend friend is coming over all the time and helping him decorate, you know, like, this is the way my mind had wanted to make it seem, you know, he doesn't want to help pay for anything for the kids, you know, he doesn't want to help us out here, you know, he just leaves, and then now it's all on me to take them to school, make lunches, do all these things, which my daughter's actually helping with the lunches. And, you know, but then I'm like, hey, to my son, go ask your dad if he'll take you. So you have that continuity. If you don't want to, then I will absolutely take you, no problem. But I mean, I think it's good for them to have that time a couple times a week, even if it's just 10 minutes, if there isn't something specific. My oldest son did go over yesterday and watch football with him. So that was a good experience, I think, for the two of them as well. And, you know, it's not like over there, his life is roses. So, you know, I really, you know, that story was telling myself those first few days without the lack of knowledge and what was happening. And, you know, I'm imagining I'm over here taking care of everything, and he's just out on a date and having a good time. And I don't really think that that's the truth. And so, you know, even if it is, like, whatever, what can I do? I am living the dream. I get to be with my kids, like, every day, unless they go spend the night or go do something else. And that's all I could ask for right now, you know? And I know we're on borrowed time. I know a lot of them are going to be embarking on different things, and I don't know how long we'll be here all together. And so, you know, we've had family dinners together, and we've got to go around the table and say our bests again, and feel some normalcy again. And I'm really grateful for that. And I've got to feel myself again. I am really delving into my daily dose of dysregulation in those cold showers, twofold, right? Like, and then of course it's always in the winter because it gets extra cold, the water, but, you know, twofold, I'm getting it on my back to, like, calm it down a little bit. But I'm like, I really need this, and I don't want to. And I'm reminding myself I can do hard things, and so can you. And so, you know, I say all this to say there is so many beautiful lessons out there. And, you know, sometimes I don't give my past self as much credit as I should. Like, I'm always like, oh, there's more to learn and I'm more evolved. But that past version of us can sometimes give us some of the greatest lessons, as my daughter's experience and my experience have taught me. Like, she inspired me. I was like, the only two Post-its that I have doubled up is patience is power. And now this one, peace, choose peace over chaos. I know I could just have shortened it to peace over chaos, but it's really a choice, and in any situation. So, like, you know, I was outside today after the storm had passed, and I just stood in the sun. There was brisk air. There were beautiful fall color changes. That I saw this tree yesterday. It was glowing. Granted, somebody had a light illuminating it, and it was golden, and it was so beautiful. I had to take a photo. There have been the beautifulest color reds and oranges, and it's such a symbolism of the changing season of my life. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to not just sit in my room and cry and complain about Chris and get on the phone to the next person and tell them why I'm the victim and he's the bad guy. Who cares? Does anybody really care? Besides Chris and my kids, does anybody really care? No. Do they want to hear it? No. I mean, will they listen? I mean, you guys are kind of forced to if you're still here with me, right? But I want to show you that everything doesn't have to be a fight. You can break up with somebody, you can leave a job, and you can do it with dignity. You don't have to be a part of that narrative. And I get it, because the people we talk to have been through divorces, or they're a child of divorce, or they're friends or somebody else, and they're ugly. They're terrible. But they don't always have to be. I really believe that. And so if I can do anything in my life is to show my kids anything. I do a lot of things, but to show them in this thing that we can be better divorcees than we were married parents, and that there's always room for growth. And we may not have always got it right, but there were good times in there. And at the very least, 4 of the coolest humans, smartest, funniest, any of the things they are a product of that relationship. And I will forever be grateful for that. And even for all the opportunities and all the things and ways he was able to show up and be kind and supportive of me. So I say all that to say, if you're going through something in your life, know that number one, honor your process. Like, that's what I've done. I want to get back in my grind because I love my routines. They are a part of what keeps me grounded. They are part of what gives me motivation, inspiration. And, eventually, this will evolve into the next chapter of what I'm doing, right? Secondarily, I really think it's so important to choose the way you respond. I was reacting. I literally was in reactionary mode for the first couple weeks, because I think it is, as of tomorrow, it will have been like 2 weeks since I found out he had a girlfriend or something like that. So it's only been this, but I am like 13 days stronger and how many ever hours wiser. And I'm so appreciative of that. And I really hope you can see that within your own life too, that you can choose how to respond and you can choose peace over chaos. It really is that easy. And it doesn't feel like it in the moment. And listen, the version of me 2 years ago would be still wrapped up in it. I'd be going to the kids, saying what a loser he was and this, and can you believe this? Look at this now. I would have been a terrible mom. I would have been a terrible person. I would have been a mess. And I'm not saying I'm easy, and I'm not saying there are moments that I haven't been sassy pants over here by it. But I really keep telling them I'm really, really working hard to show up in a way in which I honor the fact that you love both your parents. Because really, there is nobody who's going to suffer more than them. Everything they know has changed. We have lived life without each other, but they have never lived life without their mom and dad together in the same house for a long period of time. So this is a huge adjustment for them regardless of their age, because even the older kids, they know more, right? They have a different sense of things. They have their own relationships long term. So I say all that to say I'm really, really proud of you. And I'm really, really hope that you have opportunities to reflect on things that in your past that kind of will help guide you and confirm you in your present. I'm really grateful for this opportunity that I've been given by myself in some weird way. And I really, really am excited to be with you every day. I'm so grateful for you. You, believe it or not, are helping me get through this immensely. I show up better because of you. So thank you so much for tuning into me and to the Glow Up Method. And I really hope that you are taking some of the things that I'm experiencing and able to, put them into your own life and learn and adapt and pivot. And again, like I always say, or at least laugh and get some popcorn and be like, girl, this girl, what is going on with her life? But I say all that to say, please go out there today, give somebody a big smile, give them a compliment, and just watch how they glow up. So thank you. Bye.